now I will hand over to Professor, who will take us through the presentation. The stage is yours, sir. Please go ahead. You're welcome, Professor Jauro.
So it's a pleasure to be with you today on this platform in order to sensitize the general public on the regulations pertaining to the mining sector of Nigeria. So just briefly, let me share my screen. Yes, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, sir. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Environmental regulations are guidelines for the mining sector in Nigeria. That is what we are going to talk about. So the presentation outline is as follows. I'll start with introduction, environmental impacts of mining, role of NESTRA in controlling mining activities, development of the National Environmental Mining and Processing of Coal, Ores, and Industrial Mineral Regulations, 2009, guidelines and course of practices for mining activities, and conclusion. In addition to the development of the National Environmental Mining and Processing of Coal, Ores, and Industrial Minerals, we have also other two regulations, which I will just briefly talk about. So we all know that Nigeria is endowed with a lot of mineral resources. Almost all the 36 states and the federal capital, they have one or two minerals. Some of them are highly endowed, especially those around the middle belt. So historically, we know that mining was the mainstay of the Nigerian economy. It accounted significantly for the economic development of Nigeria in terms of stabilization of our balance of payment, provision of labor and employment. We know that during the colonial era, we mined a lot of minerals, especially coal, and just we mine tin and other minerals across the nation. So currently, the mining sector has been identified as having the potentials of accelerating the achievement of sustainable development goals. Despite the potential of the sector as spearhead of the emerging economy of Nigeria, the negative environmental, social, and health impacts have been underscored as significant drawbacks. So in the course of mining and processing the ore of interest, the associated elements are discarded and exposed to the ambient environment, hence contaminating soil, water, and air, and causing serious risks to human health. So what we usually throw away, which has impacts, are the tailings, that is the unwanted materials, which are very harmful. So environmental impacts of mining, we know that mining activity is highly degrading to the environment. First of all, before you mine, you have to clear the vegetation and do the excavation, that is remove what we call the overburden. At times there is need to use some mines in order to blast the mineral of interest from the earth crust to bring it outside. So these are very impacting to the environment. And after the mining, we end up having pits, very, very large pits, borrow pits. So these abandoned mine pits could get flooded and could lead to loss of lives, and at times human beings can fall into these pits, and even some animals. Air and noise pollution from dust and blasting operations. Whenever mining activity is going on, whether there's blasting or not, it is associated with air pollution because a lot of dust is being generated. Likewise, there's a lot of noise associated with blasting operations. All these we know are serious environmental pollutants. There is also pollution of surface and groundwater, causing health risks to the host communities. when these tailings or unwanted materials are dumped anyhow, when it rains or when there is rainfall, it washes some of these unwanted minerals into the source of drinking water. And some of these unwanted minerals are washed down into the aquifer underground. So even if you have waterways, you end up taking some of these pollutants. So this is an example of the impact of mining in Nigeria. You can see these are some artisanal miners. They do it anyhow. The second picture, you can see them working without appropriate personal protective equipment. So it's going to impact seriously on the workers. They're supposed to be fully kitted and they're supposed to use some equipment. So what is the role of NESTRA? That is, this environmental effects as a result of mining is of concern to NESTRA. NESTRA was established by the National Assembly Act of 2007. The act was amended in 2018. So the agency is empowered to make regulations, set standards, guidelines, and enforce compliance with the regulations. Against the foregoing, so the agency developed the following regulations and guidelines, which are specifically targeted at controlling the effect of mining activity, ensuring that it is done in the best and sound environmental manner. One of them is called the National Environmental Mining and Processing of Coal, Ores, and Industrial Mineral Regulations, statutory instrument number 31 of 2009. The second one is the National Environmental Quarrying and Blasting Operational Regulations of 2013, while the third one is the National Environmental Permitting and Licensing System Regulations, statutory information number 29 of 2009. So this third regulation for the permitting and licensing system covers all aspects of the environment, where whoever is going to embark on any activity is expected to seek for some of these permits and license before commencing. So these regulation and guidelines are aimed at attaining improved and sustainable housekeeping in the mining and mineral processing environment. The agency has also developed 30 other environmental regulations covering different sectors of the economy, which are being implemented across the country. So we have two environments. We have the brown and the green environment. So this total of 30 regulations cut across these two environments. So currently the agency is reviewing some of these regulations in order to fill in some of the identified gaps. We have also come up with a regulation to do with health care waste, which is awaiting final processing. It is with the Ministry of Justice. So development of the National Environmental Mining and Processing of Coal, Ores, and Industrial Minerals Regulation of 2009. So the aim of the regulation is to prevent and minimize pollution from all operations and ancillary activities in the mining sector. So the regulations covers the following. One, there's provision for general permit, monitoring, and enforcement. There's also provision for some of these incentives. First of all, before one engages in any mining activity, there is need for him to get all the requisite papers to conduct EIA, to get all the permits before engaging in it. Then there is issue of compliance monitoring and enforcement, which we always go about. So there's effluent and emissions limitations, which facility is expected to always abide by it. So there's need for close monitoring of this effluent, monthly analysis of effluent, which is expected to be submitted to the agency to ensure that it doesn't impact on the environment. There is noise, pollution, and control. to ensure that the activity does not generate noise above the stipulated limit so that it doesn't harm the environment. Sampling of analysis and analysis of sampling of an analysis, which is expected to be done monthly. Industrial wastewater monitoring and reporting. Enforcement, there is provision for offenses and penalties. The essence of the regulation is to ensure that everything is done rightly. So one of the deterrent items in all regulation is provision of penalties. So the offenses are spelled out and the penalties are also provided to ensure that people comply. So application of the regulation. This regulation applies to all mining operations, including the filling of rocks, especially in vulnerable sites, and shall be implemented in all the states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. So currently, Nigeria has a total of 31 state offices across the Federation, and we have 6 zonal offices, one in each of the geopolitical zone of the country. Very soon we hope to open offices in the remaining 6 states. So the essence is for us to be close to all these activities so that we monitor them and we ensure that the environment is kept safe. So guidelines and code of conduct for mining activities. 1. New development in the mining and processing techniques shall apply up-to-date, efficient, cleaner production technologies to minimize pollution to the highest degree practical. 2. Mines using all operating methods shall take necessary measures to limit risks by installing leachates, collection tanks, and such others. 3. Mines using new designs shall evaluate their installations and ensure that control routines are sufficient to prevent risks of pollution or accident. 4. Environmental impact assessment study, that is EIA, shall be conducted for new development in the sector and approval obtained from the Federal Ministry of Environment, while comprehensive environmental evaluation study should be carried out on facilities without EIA at the commencement of operations and reports submitted to the agency. The last one is that the polluter pay principle shall be applied in the event of the pollution resulting in an impact on the environment. So whoever destroys the environment is always responsible for fixing it. That's the essence of the polluter pays principle. So other provisions include existing facilities should conduct and submit a 3-yearly environmental audit report to the agency for review. So every 3 years, they conduct environmental audit, they submit to the agency, we review. The essence is to ensure that they comply strictly with all environmental guidelines. So part of the audit report is the environmental management plan. It always counted. Every facility should adopt cleaner production processes and pollution prevention measures that would yield both economic and environmental benefits. We target economic and also environmental benefits. The essence of this agency is to safeguard the environment. At the same time, we encourage economic activity. So we are not here to prevent all these activities from taking place. Our mandate is to ensure that it is done in the best and sound environmental manner without impacting on the environment. Every facility shall implement programs on best practices as specified in Schedule 3 of the National Environmental Mining and Processing of Coal, Ores, and Industrial Mineral Regulations of 2009. Every facility shall have a pollution monitoring unit. Every facility shall apply for a necessary permit in line with the National Environmental permitting and licensing system regulations, as there shall be sustainable community relationship with the host communities. So this relationship will translate into social responsibility. They are expected to assist the communities in one way or the other. Every facility which discharges effluent shall treat it to an acceptable limit. So one of the requirements is the construction of effluent treatment plant, that is ETP. So any wastewater is expected to be discharged into the ETP, treated before final discharge into the environment, when we are sure that all the pollutants have been reduced to the permissible limit. Borrow pits containing mine water shall be safely secured. So the agency may, in consultation with the lead agency, issue guidelines requiring the use in connection with any plant or machinery or devices, or arrangement for purposes of reducing the noise caused by the plant or machinery, or from other sources of noise. For the purpose of giving guidance on appropriate methods, including the use of specified type of plant or machinery for minimizing noise, the agency shall issue codes of practice as in his or her opinion suitable for the purpose, and to approve codes of practice issued or proposed to be issued by other relevant bodies, which in the opinion of the agency are suitable for the purpose. You know, apart from NESRA, we also have other agencies that play a role to do with mining activities. We have the Federal Ministry of Mining, so we are talking about some of these agencies. So what are the offenses and penalties under this Mining and Processing of Coal, Oil, and Industrial Mineral Regulation 2009? For offense for contradicting the provision of permits, an individual will be fined an amount of not more than 100,000 naira, or an imprisonment of not that more than 2 years, or both the fine and imprisonment. And for the period this offense succeeds, an individual will be fined 5,000 naira daily. For a facility, the fine is 1 million naira, and for the period to which this infraction succeeds, a facility will be fined not more than 5,000 naira. For noise, an individual will be fined an amount that is not more than 50,000 naira, or an imprisonment of a term of not more than 1 year, or both the fine and the imprisonment. For the period of committing the offense, an individual will be charged 5,000 naira daily, while for a facility that commits infraction to do with noise, the fine is not more than 500,000 naira, and the fine is 50,000 naira daily. For air quality, an offense that is committed to do with the air quality, an individual will find an amount not more than 50,000 naira, or will be imprisoned for a term of not more than 2 years, or the combination of the two, the fine and imprisonment. And for the period in which this offense continued to be committed, an individual will be charged 5,000 naira daily. For a facility under air quality, the facility will be charged not more than 500,000 naira daily. And when this, for the period in which this offense is being committed, a facility will be charged 50,000 naira daily. So if you look at the fines, you can see they are not enough. So this is the provision we had when this regulation was gazetted in 2009. So with the amendment of the Nesria Act, the ceiling for fining is now amended. Instead of not more than, now what we have is not less than in our 2018 amended act. So that's one of the reasons why we are amending these regulations in order to change some of these things, because the judge is now giving the leverage. When somebody is taken before any court of law, the judge has the leverage to impose a stiffer penalty based on this amendment. So apart from that of mining regulation, there's another one that also touches on the issue of mining, that is quarrying and blasting operations, regulation of 2019. When we talk about quarrying, it has to do with the mining of these rocks that are used in building construction. So there are also some very important provisions. One of them, all workers that are engaged in this activity of quarrying and blasting operations should be well kitted with personal protective equipment. 2, dust and particulate matter emitted shall be abated and suppressed using the best available technologies. We mentioned initially that we generate a lot of dust, and this dust impacts a lot on our air quality. The third one is noise pollution emanating shall not exceed the maximum acceptable limit of 114 decibel. The fourth one is a person shall not locate, quarry, or engage in blasting within 3,000 meters, that is 3 kilometers, of any existing residential, commercial, or industrial area. The last one there is a person shall not blast in such a way that the impact of such blast causes discomfort or nuisance of any form to the public and residents within 1,000 meters from the epicenter of the site. So these are just some few of the provision of this regulation that I decided to share with you. So also there are offenses and penalties. For instance, any person that commits any offense under this regulation will be liable to a fine of 1 million naira or an imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years, or both the fine and imprisonment. An additional fine of 20,000 naira for every day the offense subsists. So where an offense is committed by a body corporate, it shall upon conviction be liable to a fine of not less than 10 million naira, an additional fine of 200,000 naira for every day the offense subsists. Blasting of rock outcrops in excess of 1 meter below the ground level shall attract penalty as provided in Regulation 36(1) and 2 as appropriate, including payment of 500,000 naira per cubic meter below the specified depth. Blasting of rock mass occurring below the earth's surface in excess of 3 meters shall attract penalty as provided in Regulation 36 subsection 1 and 2 as appropriate, including payment of 500,000 naira only per cubic meter below the specified depth. So these are some of pictures showing the ministerial officers carrying an enforcement. When there is infraction, we have the power to seal if the activity of a facility is of imminent danger to the environment. So in conclusion, virtually every state and local government in Nigeria is blessed with one form of mineral resource or the other. This explains the increasing activities of artisanal miners in all local government areas in their quest for economic fulfillment. However, the operations are carried out in an ad hoc manner with little or no supporting infrastructure, such as the personal protective equipment and operational documents. Compliance with national environmental guidelines and code of conduct, code of practices, and engaging in sustainable mining practices would assist in protecting the health of miners while mitigating the impacts on the already degraded environment. As part of NEST's mandate of ensuring compliance with environmental laws, the agency knows that it cannot work alone. Therefore, we collaborate with state governments, local government, and other stakeholders in the sector to ensure a cleaner and healthier environment for all Nigerians. Thank you very much.